Hey, chap. Yeah, so
Hi, Jab.
so basically, hit the
Hi,
end stream
Valid.
button. Hey, up. Yeah, it was bad. It was I pushed my mouse accidentally hovered over it, and I've got two mouse because I've got my ergonomic one for editing, and then I have the gaming one. The gaming one was by my elbow. I pushed it. It pushed into a wire, and then clicked the end stream button.
But we're back now.
Yes, hi. We are back. A drunk condition. Drunk might be fun. I don't know
I
how
feel
to...
like drunk would be fun to add just for funsies as like a, if you want to use it, this is what being drunk does to you.
let's just make it kind of silly. Let's make it silly. Drunk.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a count one. Fortitude.
Yeah.
Afflicted creature rolls XD12 at turn and adds it to C. Once C exceeds RC exceeds fortitude RC, you are officially wasted. Wasted creatures.
I think that you are rolling dice and subtracting it from your agility saves.
Wasted creatures must...
Are we using advantage and disadvantage?
Not as a base mechanic, I don't think. I'm
Okay.
not sure. Because of how just like...
Adding and subtracting dice works.
Yeah, and also like how consistent you can expect a lot of things to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the fireball, I've done my job, I'm out. Bless up. Wasted creatures, I think. Subtract 2 secondary dice from all agility related features? Your speech will slur all...
Does this impact your spells? Any verbal abilities?
Your speech will slur, rendering all verbal spells inoperable.
I think that
Your willpower is in your... all willpower...
martial classes should also be affected, not just casters.
Yeah, I'm going through it. I'm throwing through. There's some I mean, agility is already taken down. All willpower...
That's true.
All willpower related features have an extra secondary dice. Also, all drunk stacks now additionally count as sleep stacks.
Oh my god. Do you know what we need to do? We need to come up with a base rules system, like put it into a really clean, like simple little document, and then add it to Nightbot, so that like a link to Nightbot, so that people can click on it and see a little PDF of a base system.
That's true. That's true. Of like all like the stuff that we've like more or less defined, like how we do dice modifiers.
Yeah. But I do like this.
I think drunk's good. I like that all drunk stacks are now sleep stacks as well. I think that's funny.
That is good. That is really good. Are we adding a benefit?
The benefit
to
is
it, like resistance against fear.
all willpower related stacks are increased by 1. All willpower related features you get a +1 basically. A plus a D, a secondary dice. So if you're willpower based, this could be good.
Okay.
If you give me a link, I can make it happen. Once we make it.
Yeah, we don't have that document yet. We need to put it together into a PDF. But
I think we should do that before next week. We should do that before next week.
We should do that before next week. I agree.
All right, that's drunk.
Additional conditions, effects.
Give us your ideas,
magical
chat.
doodads.
Give us your ideas, chat. This is like, if you want to help us make this, now is the time. We are asking you, the people.
Weakness to being goaded into attacking.
What time is it for Offbeaten Brook? It is 11 for me. 11 p.m. for me.
It is.
What time is it for
3:16 p.m. for me.
Yeah. Time zones and that.
I know.
All goading based abilities against you are extra effective.
Thought.
Yeah.
I want to come up with a more legit goading mechanic that works in this capacity. Something that sort of mimics, to a degree, how goading works in like Magic the Gathering. Something that, at least in terms of how it feels. Although I don't love goading in Magic, to be fair. But like, what we wanted to do was make the tank class have a bunch of abilities that incentivize hitting the tank as opposed to hitting the squishies. So making them be so imposing such a threat that you have to, and making there be consequences to not hitting the tank. Feels good, but I don't know if right now is the time to talk about like I
think goading needs to be a more robust thought.
We'll think on that. Yeah.
Grappling rules yet? Would that be a condition? Grappled.
Sorry?
Someone in chat said, would grappling be a condition? Like grappled?
Being grappled? Yeah, we could look at the, like, being poisoned, being grappled. Like, we can look at the D&D conditions. Poisoned feels like a good one to do, actually. But one thing that I do want to do with this is have, when a person is poisoned, have different kinds of poison to apply different other conditions as well. Like, make poison more of a dynamic thing, because I think in D&D it lacks, like, that...
Yeah, Ballad was mentioning this earlier. Like, there's poison. It's like, is there going to be different types of poison, or is this just poison trademark? I think.
Yeah.
I think having.
I definitely think different kinds of poison. Because I've always wanted that for D&D.
Should we come up with a general poisoned effect?
That could work. All right. Yeah.
Count or flat?
Lethargy? No. Do we want lethargy to be a thing?
No, that sounds specific.
What about delirious? As a condition.
Delirious? Like seeing things that aren't there.
Discombobulated. What about something that, like, someone just said spiritual poison, but the word spiritual made me think of, like, what about a condition that sort of disconnects you from your body and means that you're sort of sitting on the ethereal plane, and there's like, I like the idea of conditions that just, that like completely fuck you up. Like, just something totally out of left field.
Afflicted.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, afflicted creature
I've done
rolls.
this to you. I did this to Jenny.
Yeah.
I did this to Jenny in that fight where she failed the save, and then she got pushed into the ethereal plane while the rest of you couldn't get her, because I had those creatures that attacked you, dragged you onto the ethereal plane for a 1v1.
What is the ethereal in our world?
I think.
Is that like the realm of ghosts?
Are you talking about what the?
Have ghosts and spirits layered above ours? Is it this realm of just spirituality?
I don't want it to be. No, I want ethereal to me. I want it to be like different to that. I think that is a thing, but I don't want it to be that. I think something like less tangible, like an echo of the material plane. We could have a plane called the Echoes.
Once C exceeds, what stat do we want to tie for the resistance?
What if we have like a plane like the Echoes or a reflection plane, then you have to start spending a resource other than your primary resource. For example, if you traditionally spend Arcane, you have to spend nerve or hit points. If you traditionally things get tipsy-topsy upside down.
What stat are we tying to the etherealized thing? What's the resistance?
I think that it's tied to whatever we're doing with spirit. So fortitude.
Fortitude?
Or we could make it a willpower thing. Because we've got willpower. Our stats are willpower, logic, fortitude, agility, arcane,
strength,
strength,
and nerve.
And then we've got nerve. Arcane and nerve sort of sit differently, though. They are one fuels magic, one fuels nerve. So yeah, one fuels like martial abilities. So they're almost fuel sources in the way that hit points are as well.
Until we figure out what the ethereal is, I'm just going to keep them as I'm just gonna leave that one as what it is right now, which is afflicted creature rolls XD12 at the end of the turn, adds to C. Once C exceeds fortitude RC, your corporeal form and your spiritual self are separated.
Yeah, I agree. Because that worked really well when I did it to you guys.
Yeah. Do we have any positive conditions in mind?
Yes. I want to start with focused. But I think that focused is maybe something... You know how earlier we were talking about how other systems, for example, the system that Edge of the Empire uses, which I think is the Genesis system, or at least in the capacity that Edge of the Empire uses, has strain as an ability. Something like focused. If someone uses something that, because we did, okay, let me walk this back and walk through the process. We have decided that you can concentrate on multiple spells. I believe what we said was that you can concentrate on a number of spells equal to one of your modifiers. That modifier could be willpower, it could also be logic. Either or, we'll figure that out, right? If we also are giving marshals and other arcane classes the ability to shut down your focus. So they pay X cost to use one of their abilities, and then you lose focus on a spell, or you have to make a save and lose focus on a spell. Like, you're effectively kind of dispel magicking certain spells, and then you choose which spell that you lose focus on, or maybe if they spend enough, if they trigger a high enough ability, then they get to choose which spell that you lose focus on, right? Target the spell. This is just me laying the foundations. If focused is maybe like a condition where you spend some sort of resource. For example, you add to your own count in order to, like, willpower, like you reduce your willpower count or something in order to maintain focus on a spell, despite the fact that you have, like, to sort of resist someone shutting you down. Something like that. I think that in its current form, the way that I've just described it, is too powerful, but I think something like that. I think the cost isn't high enough. Because if the monster or enemy isn't targeting your willpower in the first place, then there's not really a negative side effect.
What if? Okay,
cetera,
thoughts.
Okay.
What if focused is something that people can enter as soon as they cast their second concentration-based spell?
Okay.
But as soon as you do that, you get a count-based condition that starts up.
Ooh.
And once
I like that.
Once that count-based condition reaches the RC, then you have to drop concentration on one of the spells, or your brain melts.
I love this. I love this so much.
Okay, focused.
I like this a lot.
Any creature may enter focused by casting or concentrating on a second concentration-based ability.
Yeah. Spell or ability. Because I think that this should also apply to marshals and their concentration things.
Based on a concentration-based spell ability / spell. Add 1. A creature must roll XD 8s, where X was the level of spell or ability. At the end of their turn, and that's how you spell turn, and add it to C. Once C exceeds your relevant stats RC, you must drop concentration on your spell / ability. On one of your spells / abilities. I personally enstaved. Yo, enstaved! Hey guys! Nice to see you! Hey,
oh, these are the guys that you did the
stick
Kickstarter with.
People. Wait, guys, these are the people who gave me the stick. Wait, where's my stick? Get in the stick.
Where's my stick? Amazing.
Sorry,
what was your title in that? Chief Staff Swinger?
Boom! That's the stick. That's Sonic the Hedgehog getting bonked. Nice
Put your
to see
headphones
you
back
guys.
on.
And I just want to say hi.
Amazing. Put your headphones back on so I can talk to you, please.
What? Sorry, no, I had
What was your title in all of that? Chief Staff Swinger or
Swinger,
something
yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
What was your title not allowed to be?
Chiefs. I think it was Master Stick Swinger.
I see. I
it
can't
was very
imagine why a professional company wouldn't want you to be calling yourself a Master Stick Swinger.
I would personally make concentration on multiple spells much harder. I feel like concentration to 5 use I should probably use something like a bonus action to sustain it each turn. That's just my opinion, though. I think the problem with that is the reason why concentration is so powerful in D&D is because only spellcasters have access to it, and the spells that you have access to that rely on concentration don't help the team typically. They usually help yourself. It's also You cannot support your allies. In a system like ours, we are encouraging buffing as being part of the central meta. I cannot stress enough. You will not beat most of the monsters unless you buff your team. Unless your team...
Buff and debuff. The
Buff
other thing
and
being
debuff,
that
yeah.
Pathfinder has multiple concentration spells being maintained. And you do have to spend resources to maintain concentration on them throughout the rounds. And that's something that we're looking into in terms of like having to spend action points to keep them up.
Yeah.
But also... To be fair, like, while I agree concentrating on multiple spells in 5th edition is like a gray area because it's going to make it throws off the balance, we're not playing 5th edition. We're making a different thing. Yeah. And yes, it's heavily inspired by D&D because we both love D&D and we want that feel, but we also want that feel in the way that we love. This is like one of those things that...
Yeah.
It's connected, but it is the way that we would approach it, which is different. We look at things like resource management.
Yeah, concentration being overpowered is directly tied to how those spells are balanced. That is a very good point, Ballad, and especially as well, not only is concentration balanced by that, it's also in D&D. One of the problems with concentration is that breaking concentration is usually less effective than simply killing the thing. Like, that is another massive problem in D&D. So, anyway, relevant stat, RC, you must drop concentration on one of your spells / abilities. Because
we should also talk about the fact that one of the things that we're focusing on is group abilities, like teaming up with the other members of your party to do something big. So, for example... pouring a bunch of your resources into someone else so that when they hit, they're shutting down this thing's concentration or something like that.
Or they're like, they're applying a bajillion different stack conditions that are so debilitating.
Playing with dice pools and stuff. And does this all sound very convoluted and like there's a lot happening right now? Yes. Early stages. This is the stage where we're allowed to be messy.
And also, if I had to explain D&D in its meta to you guys as it was being developed, I'm sure the audience would also still be confused. Like, that's another thing. I'm sure sometimes the game designers would be confused if I had to explain their meta to them. Frankly, they're the ones who put Spirit Shout in the game and thought it was fine.
It's great. I love it. It works really well in PP games.
Oh, yeah. I definitely don't have to balance every single fight around it.
You have specifically sat there and designed this entire second arc around countering my character specifically.
Yes.
Rude.
Okay.
Anyhow.
I love it. Okay. Does getting hit add more stacks against your focus?
Just getting hit in general?
Yes. And how much?
Okay.
What
if I can do a quick breakdown and analyze this instead of giving an immediate gut reaction, yes or no. I think that if we say yes, it does. This is where I'm leaning, is towards yes, it does. However, if we say yes, it does, then the action economy becomes a drastically more important thing. And I think we need to tie it to something other than the number of hits. Because if we are tying it to the number of hits, we're leaning back into a more hits is better meta, as opposed to keeping it balanced with something like the amount of damage taken. With that being said, we're also going to run into the problem of the enemy, especially because I think a lot of DMs will find it's a lot more fun for the DM and a lot more manageable to create one big monster rather than running hordes. You can run hordes. There are easy ways to run hordes. I'm not saying that it's not,
with minions.
But it's most people will run one big monster as like your central fight thing. It's just less bookkeeping.
Or maybe like at most 2 to 3, which is in my experience what I've encountered when it comes to DMing. Like
and if you are doing hordes, you're probably working with minions, in which case a fireball's going to clear out a big section of the room, that sort of thing. Now, if we do say yes, then a single monster is going to have drastically fewer options to shut down spells, concentration from party members. Because, spells and ability concentration. To shut down concentration against your players. Which we can solve that in other ways. We can add buffs to how much you're rolling to mess up their concentration and adding to that count or whatever. But I think I want to flag that this is going to swing things further one way or the other. And if we say no, hits don't automatically add to the count, then we need to find another way to effectively build that count.
Because it's already, the count already starts where it's X is equal to the level of spell that you cast. And that's XD12s at the end of your turn that you're rolling. XD8s at the end of your turn.
Yeah. But I do like the idea of being able to build. Maybe it adds to the stacks.
Yes, that's
maybe
what I'm
those
thinking.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. So it adds to the stacks, and then I guess you just set a number of how many stacks you're adding. Like it could be X D8s, like what you're saying. Am I just repeating what you just said to me?
You are a little
but I'm
bit.
only just
let me just repeat. Let me repeat how that works.
Sorry, I don't think I understood the first time that you explained it.
Any creature may enter focused by casting or concentrating on a second concentration-based ability or spell. A creature must roll X D8s, where X was the level of spell or ability at the end of their turn, and add it to C. Once C exceeds your relevant stats RC, you must drop concentration. So X is equal to the level. So if it's a 5th level spell, that's 5d8s you must now roll and add to the stack, and add to the count.
I like that. It also changes the time limit on concentration spells, and this only applies if you are concentrating on multiple spells at the same time. I do like this. I like this a lot, and I agree. Okay, so you want to make it 1d8 per hit, or do you want to make it a d8 per what? Or like a die per... You want to increase the number of stacks by how... By what metric?
That's the question I'm thinking.
Okay.
At level 20...
Because you were saying on hit, what was the thing that you suggested about the hit?
What I was going to suggest, the on-hit thing that I was going to suggest was every hit, you increase the stacks by the level of spell. So if I got hit 4 times, I cast a 5th level spell, that's 20 more stacks. The idea being that higher level spells are harder to concentrate on. And I think the damage, I think I'm leaning now more towards some sort of damage-based calculation. Because I'm...
Well, okay. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, if we pause that for a second... Because we haven't discussed this in balancing. If we make multi-hit, on average, do less damage than single hit, then this might be how we buff multi-hit as well.
I think multi-hit is already strong based on the fact there's going to be... Here's how I see it. I see it being the primary vehicle for being buffed.
What about if we make it contingent on... So you add a stack for how many times over your, for example, fortitude or willpower stat you get. So the amount of damage divided by your willpower stat is how many stacks you add, or something like that.
Would this system only level up characters level 20? This we're gonna make it so that you could level up as much as you want. Actually, we're going to balance the game for a 1 to 20 system. Make an epic level post game with levels 20 through 30. And then create a system for which you can continue to level up the characters post.
Yeah. Because we like epic level play.
Yeah.
So the base game is 1 to 20, but we are designing up to 30 initially, and then
And 20 is a good...
Because-
Yeah, we have... And we didn't just pick 20 because it's what D&D does. 20 is a nice number because if you... It gives... It's a small
The
enough
tiers
number...
of play.
It's good. It's easily dividable into separate tiers of play that make kind of sense. So... Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you making characters or a game? We're making it a whole game. Whole TTRPG.
Whole game.
I think that the thing is as well is it can't just be on hit. It must be. I think they have to deal damage. You have to get through the armor in order to actually. You can't just hit someone superficially and not deal any damage, right? You have to actually deal the damage.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and if it's only based on a per hit situation, if somebody hits you with a nuclear bomb attack, since you only got hit once, you're like, we need something that mathematically is similar, I think, between the two.
Yeah.
What if it's...
The fact I know you as Fireball guy. Yeah. That's
Yes.
also how I know you.
Yeah, that's how most people know me.
Do you do something else or?
No. I've never made
Yeah,
a
that's
single
fair.
long form video in my entire life. I definitely don't know about game design or theater.
Yeah. Okay, theater degree.
At high level, martials deal about 100 damage in a single turn. As spellcasters deal in about 80 to 100 with cantrips. What if... What if it's... $1d8 per, like, 10 damage?
10 might be too low, but we could do that. We could just set a...
Could pick... I don't like just picking a number, but I do get
I
it.
agree. I think it should be tied to something. Like your stat. Like, which is why I was leaning
Your
towards...
fortitude? Yeah. I see why you're...
One of the... Yeah. But I don't know how to determine the threshold. But I want to tie it to a
Yeah.
stat. Whether that stat be logic, willpower, fortitude...
I think it's got to be fortitude.
Fortitude, same as constitution.
I think so.
Okay. In that case, we're looking at giving it, like, we would be effectively looking at giving it what if we make it your fortitude multiplied by your fortitude modifier? Like your score multiplied by your modifier.
That's the amount you have to deal before you take a stack?
No, because that heavily helps tank classes.
Also, that would be like 50 damage if you max it.
Yeah.
What if it's... What if it's in that increments, but it's based off of your fortitude stat? So like if you're dealt... If you have a fortitude of 8, and you take 8 damage, you add a stack. If you take 16, you add a stack.
Oh, so like what I said the first time?
Look, I did this to you, you did this to me. We're even.
Valid. Okay, so the amount of damage taken divided by your fortitude stat equals the number of stacks that you take.
Yeah. More stacks when receiving damage received divided by fortitude equals...
How long has this been in the making since the stream started? We technically started working on this a couple weeks ago. We've sort of gotten together every week for about the past month or so and been working on it. But a lot of the stuff that we were doing before is the crunchy math stuff that is not fun to watch because it's honestly mostly offbeat, coming to me with equations and going, okay, time for Maths 101. And me going, I don't know if this is 101 because you and your brother are really good at maths and you guys are the ones designing. If I could just point to your 7 in IB maths, Maths 101 is a strong term. And then you going, yes, but Brooke, this is algebra and it's pretty basic. And then I'm
but
like,
Brooke,
okay.
I learned this in grade 7.
And I'm like, fine, explain it to me. And then you will explain it. And then I'm like, okay, I understand this, but could we change X and Y into like M for modifier and like C for count so that like I can remember what they represent better? And then you're like, there is nothing wrong with X and Y.
What's wrong with them? They're perfect.
And then I'm like, we need to meet in the middle on the maths thing. You're gonna have to compromise. If I'm gonna sit here
and by meeting in the middle, Brooke means if she's gonna do it at all, I have to name the variables dumb shit.
It's not dumb. It's easier to remember.
For you. Okay, I think we've made the focused condition as a thing.
Amazing.
I like it a lot because then this puts, we don't actually really have to give spells timers. And I think this is for in combat. Out of combat, I think we should give them timers.
Yeah. I like this.
Yeah. And I'll put in brackets in combat.
Thank you, Ajab.
Are objectively the worst thing about math? Speak for as a mathematician, go fuck yourself.
You're not a mathematician.
A mathematician.
You're not
maybe.
a mathematician. You have a theater degree.
What if I'm a mathematician though? What I needed one more class to get a minor in math.
I believe that. However, you're not a mathematician.
I'm a mathematician.
Nor is your brother, I don't think.
No, he's not. He's
like
engineer, PhD.
Yeah. He's very good at it though.
Yes. There is a point
They're
where
both
math
geniuses.
does get more spiritual than it does real, and I think that's kind of my favorite thing about math. Because you think it's like all facts, and math people are like, nah.
We start running off of vibes.
Yeah. But did you know that
I've been wanting to run off of vibes all along. Why are you making me work with the logic thing?
Because we're not there yet. You are not at the vibes point. If mathematics the concept, we're a student in my class and we get a 0 out of 10 on style every time, and that's why I fucking love it.
I literally somewhere in this I just wrote planes of existence and started taking notes.
Go for it.
That's how connected I am to the maths in this game.
Yeah. Did you know that we have mathematically proved that there are some things we just can't know?
Like what?
Oh, I don't know, but we have proved it.
The fact that the answer was I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what we don't know, but we fucking proved that we can't know some things.
Well, but do we know the question? This is like
no.
the answer to life, universe, and everything being 42, but we don't know the question. This is, I get that there are some things we can't know, but can we know the question?
We might already know the question. Some mathematicians may be currently working on that question, and they are like, why can't I find the answer? And the reason is there is no answer, and they won't ever know that.
I hate this. I hate this so bad.
Don't worry, we're not there yet between what we're doing. We're doing probability.
Also, I do believe that my housemate just got home, so I'm going to spend 2 seconds to go and shut my office door so that I'm not disturbing her.
Okay. Okay. We've made focused as a good condition. What about...
I love focused.
I want a condition where you can regain nerve.
Okay, because we do have mechanics for regaining arcane.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair, because I believe we've got a couple of different ideas for how you regain Arcane. Let me just explain this so that everyone else is on the same page as us. Basically, when you kill an enemy, you gain... I think you're either going to be gaining a set number of dice, so equal to your Arcane modifier, so your secondary dice equal to your Arcane modifier, I think it was, back in spell points, which is determined by your Arcane score and your level. And there was another way that we were going to do that as well, like regaining Arcane, maybe to do with rests. I can't remember.
I think it was based on like encounters. You get to roll a set amount and you get to regain that many.
Yeah. We had a few, but it was like it was tied to that. So I agree. I think that Nerve needs a...
I kind of want to make it distinct where Nerve gets... Like, there's going to be, obviously, you regain all your Nerve on long rests and stuff. I want there almost to be a mechanic for Nerve where you get to regain an amount whenever you're empty or something. I don't know exactly. Do you think it should be whenever you've lost some Nerve, you immediately start regaining, or under an amount?
I think if you hit half hit points, it's almost like getting your second win.
We can call this like adrenaline or something.
Yeah. Emboldened is a really good word too.
I'll put
yes.
Adrenaline. Let's do emboldened maybe.
Also, I like what Dark Alucard is saying about... They just said cunning, but I like cunning as an idea, as a word. Is Dark Alucard a reference to Darker Shades of Magic?
I have no idea. Once a creature is
I'm
hit
asking
half
them.
A stack of emboldened.
Siphon from enemy upon attack. I don't know about upon attack. I like it. Siphon from enemy in some way is good. I don't know if upon attack is... Oh, it's not a reference to Dark Shades of Magic.
Is it a reference to Castlevania? A creature...
Helsing. Oh.
Helsing?
Fair enough.
The creature regains a X D8 Nerve at the beginning of their turn. They gain a number of stacks of emboldened equal the damage received divided by... Should emboldened be dictated by fortitude or a primary stat?
I think a primary stat. I also want to be mindful of tying a bit more. Maybe this is because we've been playing a lot with spells and magic or whatever. But I want to be mindful of agility and strength and not let strength fall behind. I don't think emboldened fits here, but I want it to be...
Yeah, divided by primary stat.
Also, I'm scrolling up to find this thing about cunning.
So, once a creature has hit half hit points, they gain a number of stacks of emboldened equal to the damage received / the primary stat. The creature regains XD8 nerve at the beginning of their turn. You have to be in combat for this feature to be in effect.
What about intuition / cunning as a positive condition to increase the number of die used, ability score, or something of the sort to perform task / attack?
And it's at the beginning of their turn.
I like where your head's at. I don't know if I want to link it to cunning purely because we're kind of doing this with other abilities anyway, and this is sort of how we're tying it into the buff meta. But I do like this. I almost want cunning to be a way to tailor something that's happening, to like tinker with the function of, I don't know,
For every
cunning.
instance of damage received below half hit points, gain stacks of.
Adelaide, there is not currently a place to read the document so far, but there will be. We're going to turn this into a PDF and then have Nightbot sort of throwing up the link so that we have at least the base system readily available.
Yeah, just like
honestly, I think we should design a base character sheet and sort of explain as well, like a bunch of like little labels.
Not a bad idea. Here's what I've written so far. We have emboldened. If in combat, once a creature has hit half hit points, they gain a number of stacks of emboldened equal to the damage received divided by the primary stat. The creature regains XD8 nerve at the beginning of their turn. For every instance of damage received below half hit points, gain more stacks of emboldened equal to the damage received divided by the primary stat.
Okay. I like it.
So it kind of works like focused. It's almost like Arcane has focused and Nerve is going to have emboldened. Well, actually, no. Focus works for both Nerve and... I was making Arcane specific stat. I was making Arcane specific buff condition. I think we need one.
Also, okay, if I... yes, I agree. I just had a thought based on this and something else that I was thinking about earlier. If we set half hit points or half your resistance count, I know we don't want to work with tiers, but if we could potentially put in one like tier jump, we could play around with this idea of hitting half, the way that they used to hit the bloodied condition when you hit half hit points.
We could.
But we could do it with our other stats as well.
I think some
just a thought.
Some conditions maybe. Like once you reach I want to try and keep resistance count more or less. I think it makes sense for health once you reach half something to happen. But like for like emboldened or something like that, I want to keep resistance count usually just like fill the bar. Once the bar is filled, X effect happens.
I agree, but I also want to stick a pin in this because I think if we find the right use, setting half the total as sort of another tentative DC could be...
That might be fun.
A good place to play with. I don't think I have an idea of how to use that, but I just want to have it out there.
Ooh, overcharged. I like
Cunning
that for
equals sensitive to paranormal surrounding to determine weak or strong.
If in combat, once a creature has hit... What should be the trigger for getting overcharged?
Spending half of your arcane or nerve.
I want this to be arcane specific.
Oh, okay. Spending half of your arcane.
Okay. They're arcane.
Or it could be half your hit points. This could be the arcane equivalent.
That's true.
Should we call it adrenaline and should we make emboldened something else? I like emboldened as a term, but I think adrenaline makes a lot more sense thematically now that I'm thinking about it. I think you were right. Hey, Lexi!
Brooke says hi.
Hi. What are they doing?
Lexi offered to make me tea, but then I gave my teacup. But as I did it, the coaster was attached, and then it just like sat there and then fell, and it was comically well timed.
I love it. Lexi, can you make me too while you're up? Is that okay?
Lexi, Brooke is wondering if you can also make her tea.
Please.
Yeah, she's making it right now. Don't worry, she got it.
Oh, thank you, Lexi. You're the best.
Brooke says thank you.
I love you.
Brooke says she loves you. I love you too, though. Remember. Oh, man. I think adrenaline's good. Adrenaline's good. Overcharged. I like overcharged a lot.
Mhm.
Could you ever have more arcane nerve spirit points than your maximum?
I think so. I think there'll be
Mm.
certain triggers and abilities that are gonna
I
do
think
that
that's
in the
more
way
like an
that like
ability thing that you kind of
Yeah,
plan around.
I think it'll be tied to something like
Mhm.
how you in D&D there are certain abilities that add additional temporary HP and raise your hit point maximum and stuff like that. I think it's
Okay, Brooke, this one's for you.
more. Oh, thank you so much. Why does it look empty? That's so crazy.
What do you mean? It's clearly full.
Thanks. That's so crazy. It's empty actually.
And also you just have to again a number of stacks of overcharge. Or size of emboldened equal to the creature against X. Gain a number of stacks of overcharge equal damage received. Primary stat. I want to do something where being overcharged upcasts your spells or something.
I love that. Sorry, I just thought of another thing, but it's slightly off topic.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm making a note of it.
Okay, number of stacks of overcharge equal to the damage they receive divided by primary stat. It's going to be usually... if I've been hit multiple times, it's going to be probably somewhere along the runs of like 2 to 5. Could be like 10.
I just had
Should
an idea
overcharge and
for...
adrenaline be gotta love the Green Path soundtrack in the background though? Yeah. Maximize damage for overcharged. That's about a 1.7 multiplier to all attack damage.
Where does 1.7 come from?
It's just the typical mathematical average of, like, if you take the average of the dice that you roll and then you add them all together so that they're instead maximized, that is typically a 1.7 times boost.
Oh, okay.
If you multiply 5.5 by 1.7, you usually get about 10. I think you get 9.35. If you get like 5.5 plus 5.5 plus 5.5 plus 5.5 times that by 1.7, you're gonna get about 40. So wait, what are we discussing right now? The new D&D system that we're making, Komai.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Goobus McGee.
I just had an idea for an ability.
Mm-hmm.
We could turn it into a condition, but I like because we were going to play with the idea of concentration abilities, auras, giving player characters more auras, and also conditions and things. But I like the idea of honing being an ability so that your spells, like ranged attacks and spells, ignore cover and bend around to
homing
hit.
might be funny, yeah. That might be good. Overcharge. What is this overcharge thing? I want it to be upcasting, but I don't know how to make that work.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. It could just be adding additional dice to your attacks ability. I mean,
no.
I think the adding dice thing is going to come from other spells and abilities.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes,
That's
so I think we're avoiding that at the moment because we know where that fits in terms of the broader thing. So we don't want to necessarily tie it to this because I think conditions and abilities and auras and things like that are ways to modify the base mechanics. They're not what the base mechanics are, which the base mechanics are, a lot of it's tied to adding and subtracting dice to abilities. What's the mechanics being discussed currently?
What if
We're making conditions.
Yeah. What if overcharged is number of stacks that for every instance of damage you take, you increase the stacks, and then it supercharges your next instance, your next action that you take. And
okay, I'm not against it, but what was the cost of the martial equivalent? Because you know how we have adrenaline as you hit half hit health as a martial character, your adrenaline ability. Sorry, I know we were just discussing this.
Adrenaline is the creature regains XD8 nerve at the beginning of their turn. For every instance of damage received below half hit points, they gain a stack of adrenaline equal to the damage received divided by primary stat. Same sort of.
And the stack of adrenaline, what's the consequence of that?
I think it's more just like if you have a stack of adrenaline, this is a positive condition.
Okay.
You're at half hit points, you gain it.
With overcharge, I kind of want that to be the same. I don't necessarily want the spellcasting equivalent to have a negative side effect if the martial
I don't want it
doesn't.
either. It's just like something that triggers when you hit half hit points.
Yeah. But isn't that kind of what you were saying with you?
Yeah, I just don't know. I want it to be called overcharge. I just don't know what I want it to be. I don't know how the stacks are gonna work.
Okay.
I just want there to be an effect. I don't know what it does.
Okay. I definitely thinking upcasting and downcasting is a good area to play with. We're already sort of playing with this.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I can see a version of the meta being setting up a bunch of buffs and things that effectively allow you to cast first level spells at like 9th or 10th level for just first level spell slots, or cantrips being upcast.
I agree. I like that thought.
Because if we're talking about this being resource management, then spending resources to save resources is going to be a big...
What if instead of a dice-based stack, like for each stack you maximize one dice in the roll or add an additional dice to the roll? We're already playing with that idea a lot. I think, what if overcharged, you get to upcast every spell that you cast by the number of stacks of overcharge you have?
Ooh. I like that. I don't think that the negative consequence should be taking...
There's no negative consequence.
Additional stack. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought initially you said something about you were increasing the number of stacks that you were taking.
No, this is just like no, there's just like... stacks of overcharge you want.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. I think I see. Sorry.
Yeah, this is the positive condition that casters get.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't understand. I think I misunderstood your initial explanation. That makes sense.
The creature may now upcast spells by X.
Drain as a condition. I know that earlier we were talking about magic drain and anti-magic, whatever. Drain is a condition that starts reducing a stat for every stack or for every round so that your modifier is being reduced.
That'd be fun.
So here we go. Drain reduces X modifier where X equals a stat by 1 per stack. I'm not being helpful. Normally I type everything up in the document, but since I started a fresh notebook for this project, I want things in here as well.
So reduce afflicted creature reduces targeted stat by X where by X. When do they reduce the stat? Is it at the end of their turn? When?
I think when it's applied. When the stacks are applied. So I think that if a creature is applying stacks of drain, then your modifier is immediately reduced upon application. Yeah.
That sounds like it sucks. But yes. That is their name is yes.
I made that joke earlier.
Well, I just realized it. Good job. Congratulations. Alright. I've written all these down in the documents as well, so I don't know.
Siphon is a much cooler name. I don't mind that actually. Siphon is a pretty cool name.
Siphon's cool.
Drain?
But
it might be a bit more evocative for the average person though. Siphon implies that you're using it for something else.
It implies that you're taking it and giving it to you. It's like you siphon a gas tank for yourself, you know?
Yeah, I think we could use Siphon. I don't think this is the place.
I agree,
think this is Drain. But I think Siphon abilities would be cool.
We can also just have stacks that are when triggered as well, usually. Conditions that are just like when triggered this thing happens. As we get more specific. Let's figure out what burning is. Burning's normal. Let's figure out some of the standard shit. Afflicted creature rolls. Burning is going to be so standard, as are most of the damage type stacks, that I want them to be kind of mediocre. I don't want them to be very good. Afflicted creature rolls XD6, where X at the end of their turn. Should there be some formula based on the fire damage applied that determines how burning you are? Or should burning just be or should there be like
you're rolling d4s on your turn to take damage kind of situation, similar to bleed.
But how are they applied? Is there like a standard way that they're applied? Because I remember talking about, is it just like in spells that are fire damage, we put some text in there that specifies how much burning is applied?
Yeah, something like that. If we're keeping it pretty standard, let's start there as a baseline. If it doesn't feel good to play with, we can always change it later.
Yeah. Afflicted creature rolls XD6 at the end of their turn. After this, remove a stack. I think burning eventually gets used up, and
Whereas bleed starts to build.
Bleed is a deadly one. Bleed's one of those that's just like boom, boom, boom,
I think I like the idea that we kind of tie bleed to constitution in some way as well. Like, bleed is tied to spirit magic.
Bleed is tied to your constitution, your health points.
Yes, but you get what I mean.
I do.
We tied, you know how thematically we're doing sort of 3 kinds of target things. I think that bleed is more aligned with the spirit side of things in terms of HP and spending HP on abilities and stuff like that. I think bleed is kind of aligned there.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think it's already hitting that though, because of how rapidly it destroys your health.
No, I know, but I mean, like, I think bleed abilities should maybe cost HP to apply. Like,
oh, that's what you're
that
saying.
should be the resource. Yeah. Sorry. We should tie it in.
That makes sense.
As a damage type, especially because it is such a hugely increasing threat.
It's a very dangerous condition.
Yeah. What was that ability that you used against us? So I remember discussing this with you at some point. There was an ability that you used against us in PP game where we went into, I think it was a luck fight or a flashback or something. And Ajab, this is an Australian thing. We say H instead of H. I need you to understand that this is a thing that also, like, Australians just do. It's an accent thing. It's a dialect thing. I know. I get to hear about it on a regular basis.
HP.
Come at me with this bullshit.
HP
I
Lovecraft.
know it's H.
HP Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a dialect thing. I don't know. I was told about it when I was like 5 years old. I remember one of my teachers was really like pretentious about the whole thing and was like, "Don't say H, it's H." I put on that voice. It was a man.
Weren't they also Australian?
They were, but they were really freaking pretentious about it.
What is that phonetic spelling, Komai? Aren't you also Australian?
Komai is Australian. And I don't know if everyone in Australia does it, but it's really common. Anyway. Anywho. If we could just jump back into this. So, okay, there was an ability that you used, and it had something to do with spending hit points to deal us extra damage or something like that. Do you remember? Because I remember discussing this with you.
I think was it the ability where based on the amount of
luck fight.
Was it the amount of missing hit points? I
don't think it was the amount of missing hit points. I think this was a luck fight, but I think this was kind of you cooked something up on the fly, but it was like this big demon guy or something. And I remember distinctly that I think he cut himself. Like, he took 50 points in damage to deal us an automatic piece of damage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of recharge ability. We might have to go back and sift through the
fight
episodes
where you guys were fighting
find
that aspect of pain?
Maybe. I thought it was a luck fight, but maybe.
Because I tried to link that to pain a lot. That sort of, like, just instant damage.
Potentially.
That sounds like
Could
pain.
be misremembering. It was a little while ago. I don't quite...
Okay, but I get what you're saying. Like, that flavor. H-boy Lovecraft.
Thank you so much for watching. We're gonna go now.
Most banned you next. H-boy Lovecraft.
Fuck off. Fucking Canadian.
What about the Vengeance fight? The Vengeance fight is where I play tested our armor system and it worked beautifully. It was gorgeous. Brooke didn't like it because Brooke doesn't like anything that it makes her life more difficult personally.
Yeah.
Burning.
If I got to run it against you guys, I'd think it was great.
Cold.
But if it's being used against my character, it's really inappropriate. Yari's just a little guy.
What about cold damage? What's the
I
sort
love
of...
that fight. I love how your audience is just like, yeah, I love that. Fair enough, guys, but it's very stressful when you're sitting there with your precious little baby and some asshole is trying to kill them.
Frankly, I am not some asshole. And second of all,
Frankly, you are. If I can be totally candid.
what is the cold-based stack condition?
Oh, I think that it's called Frostbite. And I think that to some degree it might apply a slowed condition, but I don't know how deep into this we want to go, or if that's too. I think that sometimes it applies a slowed condition. Slowed is definitely a condition, but
afflicted creature rolls.
Add stacks versus fortitude resistance count, and then start being slowed, having your evasion reduced.
XD6 at the end of their turn.
Cold
I think all of the
yeah.
damage type based stacks, they all have after this remove a stack.
That's fair.
Yeah. Remove a stack.
A stack or a dice, like roll X die and remove that many stacks.
I think it's I think it's remove a stack.
My only thought there is the application method needs to not involve rolling dice then.
The application method is going to be based on like cold damage,
Like
usually.
2 hit? Or
No, the application of the cold, like it's gonna be like based on the thing, like you hit them with this, and then it applies 2 stacks of cold or something. I don't know.
okay. I'm not totally there, but I think we're in a good direction, but I don't have a solution, so I don't know.
Okay. We'll just say for now after.
I think we stick a pin in that.
Yeah. We'll revisit it after this. Remove a stack. Add the rolled amount to C. Once C exceeds current hit points, apply slowed and reduce C to 0. I need to go to the washroom because I'm still really well hydrated.
Amazing. Good job.
Yeah, you keep
okay.
brainstorming. Keep the chat entertained.
So, I think that what I want to do is figure out a siphon condition and a slowed condition. Slowed condition I kind of have an idea for. I'd make it very similar to D&D. But siphon condition, I kind of want to do something like every time you... someone said that something like close to this before in chat. Every time you hit or deal a certain amount of damage, you get a certain amount of resources back. Like maybe you deal enough damage, you get a D8's worth of spell points back or nerve points back. On hit... God, I should just type this into the document. If cold doesn't do anything much on its own, but you take extra damage while being frostbitten. That could work, actually. That might be a really good way of doing that. Keeping it kind of clean in that capacity could be really good. Cold could also be a setup stack for like a shatter spell that can detonate stacks of frostbite. Ooh, okay. I like this. Building up a resistance count in order to trigger additional effects. Or steal an ability or stat off your foe. That sounds fun. I think that might be a bit more high-powered for a base mechanic, but I do like that as an idea. Just makes cold distinct. You're not wrong. Okay, so siphon on hit / other trigger. Other trigger being what I'm just going to write while I haven't settled on the trigger. You gain a number of nerve / Arcane slash HP back equal to, I don't know, X dice. So it could be like, e.g., 1d12, etc. But I think on hit, the problem with tying things to on hit at this point is that if we do too much of that, we end up feeding into the same meta that D&D currently has. In the more times you hit, the better off you are. So it just does a lot more. It would be interesting if elemental spells had no inherent damage and just afflicted their condition. That could be really cool. That might be something to play around with. Like things that, yeah, don't do damage but do inflict conditions. Would it be a die or would it be dice or damage? We could tie it to damage again. We could make it the same as what we did earlier in terms of like it's effectively the amount of damage divided by whatever ability score is relevant. I feel like it could be like divided by your arcane or your nerve or your fortitude score. I'll make a footnote on it. So damage dealt divided by arcane slash nerve slash fortitude score equals number of stacks applied. God, we haven't even gotten into tinker points, which is one of the other things that we're playing around with to change spells and abilities, kind of like meta magic. But that's neither here nor there at this point. This is just another resource. At the moment, I think our system is convoluted and needs some refining, but that's okay because we're in the brainstorming phase, so it's allowed to be. Okay. Fudge, yes. Just watched the most recent episode and now another live Offbeat Outlaw video. Aw. I'll tell Offbeat when they get back. Now it's just me. I'm so sorry. You just get to deal with discount Offbeat. Not even that. Well, with Adab's idea, if you had the basic ice spell combo be 2 spells, chill that doesn't do damage and just applies stacks of cold, then snap that detonates it. I do like this. My one concern there would be that I also don't necessarily want it to be, if you think of the action economy, you don't want to be spending too many resources in order to get off an ability. I'm not against this. I would just be cautious because it would slow down the pace of combat if you're having to do multiple actions to get your results. Oh my god, Offbeat Outlaw.
What? I don't work here. Shut up.
Oh, okay. That's a shame. Well, can you get Lexi then? I'd really like a professional in the room.
I would too. What have you been
At
discussing
any
in
rate,
chat?
I'm looking at Siphon as an ability. On hit / other trigger. So the other trigger being something potentially related to like how much damage was dealt divided by either your arcane, nerve, or fortitude score. You regain a number of dice, for example, a d12's worth of effectively stacks in points. Does that make sense? Did that make any sense? You regain that number of points.
You regain, so afflicted creature loses that amount and then you gain that amount?
Yeah, or you regain half the amount. Regain
Afflicted creature
amount?
loses X d12 points and the user gains half the amount siphoned.
I love that. I feel like I describe things in the most convoluted, like nonsensical way humanly possible. I just word vomit half thoughts, unfinished sentences, just random words, and then you just know what I'm saying and turn it into words. make it make sense. And then I take what you said and I edited it to consistent flowing language. This is a process.
There's a good process here. Oh shit, wrong one. Here we go. We're good. Don't worry, I accidentally end stream this time. We're good. Yeah, we're good.
At any rate, if cold on its own also applies. Okay, so someone was saying earlier that we could have it that base elemental spells, abilities, that sort of thing don't deal damage but only apply effects. And then they were talking about having, once an effect is applied, it like triggering it and having like a big consequence, like detonating. I like the word detonating. Someone used it earlier. The big from the effect. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is that it only applies an effect, but on hit, it also rolls the stack.
Something like that, yeah.
That works for fire. Doesn't necessarily work for cold unless it's also dealing damage, because cold doesn't deal damage.
Doesn't. Well, okay, so the idea was some sort of like shatter effect, right? You start freezing someone and then shatter, like ice cracking sort of thing. Slow should also affect your evasion. That's what I said earlier. I don't think you were here actually, Komai. I'm sorry. Or paying capabilities instead of just movement, it makes it distinct from cold. I definitely think that the slowed condition should affect your evasion. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that slowed affects AC in D&D.
Yeah.
Should we have it reduce your movement? I think if we're running off of stacks, it could be
here's
a
what I've
number
got
of
for the
squares
cold. Equal to the stacks. Here's what I got. Afflicted creature rolls XD6 at the end of their turn. After this, remove a stack. Add the rolled amount to C. Once C exceeds current hit points, apply frozen and reduce C to 0. Once frozen,
what does frozen do?
Once frozen, a creature receives
Frostbite?
extra D6s in damage equal to X for every instance of damage. Additionally,
this is such a crunchy system.
We'll smooth it out once.
I know.
Well, it'll get smoother. Additionally, evasion is reduced by X. By X divided... Yeah, by X. Evasion is reduced by X. Yeah, I like that. And all actions now cost double.
Cost double or cost an additional action point?
I think double, but we could also just make it cost an additional. Additional AP. I couldn't stop watching you and Danny Phantom. Hell yeah. Keep watching our content. Consume.
Don't watch them. They're so obnoxious as it is. No, I love you guys. What is the call about cone attacks being funneled down a corridor? Narrow dungeon hall, cone of cold, for example.
In D&D, it reaches its extent, the extent of its range, and no further. In our game, we'll have to figure that out. I'm frankly inclined to a spell says and does what it says and does.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, well, in physics, I'll say, fuck your physics. This has got magic in it. Did you know that
in magic?
Like, yeah, I know. Fucking crazy.
Alternatively, cold could be a stamina or nerve-based attack. Instead of HP, cold could target your resources, or as to not straight up erase those resources, it could lock them off until frozen. What if we have like arcane burn? Something that starts burning through your arcane points. Or is that too close to drain? No, I don't know.
We have anti-magic, we have magic drain, we have drain, reduce stat, we have siphon.
Reducing your... But these are all abilities. Okay, the reason why I advocate for more versus less is that we're designing a plethora of monsters.
I'm not against. I'm not against
okay,
it.
sorry.
I was just going through what we do have to make sure that we haven't already covered it. Yeah, we could have some sort of nerve / arcane based drainer.
Yeah.
We could call it. Let's call it Fizzle.
Not arcane burn?
I don't want to call it something burn just because we're already using burning as a condition. And Fizzle's kind of cute. I like the word. Fizzle. Afflicted creature. Lose it. Rolls XD4. End of their turn and loses that many arcane / nerve points. Wait, I just got here. What did I miss? Oh, we're designing a TTRPG and it's neat. Add dice. Hell yeah.
I like this. Okay. I think it would be good if we designed this in such a way that you can upcast spells above the maximum spell level by spending more points. Oh, but maybe we need to cap to that, because if you can upcast something to level 100, maybe not.
I think that you can upcast the maximum that you can currently cast. Unless you are overcharged, in which case you are overcharged, you can cast up to your overcharge. All spells are auto upcast to your overcharge.
Yeah, okay. I think that at the epic level of play, you can upcast equal to your maximum plus half, like your maximum spell slot plus half.
Sure.
As a baseline, and then overcharge also increases.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also burning through a crap ton of resources.
You're going to have a lot of resources, though, to be fair. And our resources are cheap in this game.
Yeah.
Resources are quite cheap.
Well, up until we go and balance it. We're
true.
at the fun stage. This is, what do you want to do? Let's, yes and. Burnout could do X negative effect. Burnout. Something like embargo. Not being able to spend abilities. Or not being able to spend points. I don't think abilities overall, but like nerve and arcane and... Well, nerve and arcane. But I don't think that... I think we leave hit points open to be spent. with something like embargo. I think hit point there's
Mhm.
like or burnout or whatever. I think there's almost that level of self-sacrifice tied into that thematically.
I like it. I don't know what embargo looks like in this game though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but burnout or yeah, I want to jot that down as an idea though.
Cool.
Um,
Do you feel like you got a lot of good conditions? Because I remember like we initially did this because we were both kind of feeling like we need some basics to kind of go off. Do you
yeah.
feel like you kind of have like the gist of what conditions
I
are
do.
gonna look
Yeah,
like?
I'm happy with this. I still think that we should make more eventually,
Oh
but I
yeah,
like what we have as
I
well.
think we're gonna make more as we develop the game, as like we make
Agree.
classes and stuff like that. Like I think
And
that
figuring out things like, we've got fire and ice damage, like electrical, like the static thing where, maybe you're taking damage by moving,
uh
like a
uh
D4's worth of damage for every 5 feet moved.
static afflicted creature takes XD6 lightning every 5 feet moved. Charged creature takes XD6 extra lightning damage for every lightning damage when receiving lightning damage. Static and charged. Marked for death. Mark should absolutely be a condition, like a hunter's mark thing. Ooh. Ooh, marked. That's cool.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that
We were
is
talking
really
about
cool.
a bounty hunter class too. This is exactly the type of thing. Marked.
Yeah. Something that, because I want to make exploration more mechanically viable. Something that involves being hunted.
A marked creature rolls X D12 at when applied the beginning of the day.
Could be that a marked creature gains like an additional die's worth of stacks every time stacks are applied,
Ooh.
or
A marked creature beginning of the day and adds it to C. A marked creature gains C more stacks every time a stack of any kind is applied. I think marked is fucking deadly. I love that.
yeah, I like this.
I like the idea. I like that a lot. I like the idea of like a hunter marks them and then the whole party gets a benefit. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
The creature who marked the other can track them as long as plane of existence. Team versatility for ranger type classes? Exactly. I'm not gonna lie, Brooke. I think
You're tired?
I'm tired. I streamed
That is
today,
valid.
and I streamed again today. I am big sleepy. I've made all the ideas I can.
That is very fair. We've
Yeah.
done a lot too. We got through a lot of ideas. I like this. Are we streaming this again next week, or are we just doing this on our own next week?
Let's aim to stream it next week, but I ain't making
Okay.
any promises.
That's valid. That's valid.
But thank you all so much for watching. This has been the first live streamed video of Brooke and I making our TTRPG. If this interested you, let us know. Please let us know. Give us your ideas. Tell us. Spread this around. Let people know. This is the type of thing that is going to live and die on you guys spreading the word that this thing is happening. So please, please, please tell people, tell your friends that Brooklyn Tuesday and Offbeat Outlaw are making a TTRPG. Tell them to watch these streams. I cannot stress how much this helps. So
Yes.
uh,
Do your D&D planning with us in the background, harping on about our system.
exactly, it's brilliant.
Because some of these mechanics are going to apply.
Exactly. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all have a lovely night or evening wherever you may be. Get the fuck out of my house.